My name is Arun Zadeh. Everybody calls me AZ. I'm a law partner at Oberman & Rice Law Firm, but also, luckily, a member of the Judicial Committee for KBA. And it's one of my privileges to be able today to speak with a judicial candidate, Charles Chuck Cerny, who is currently the sitting judge for Division I Sessions Court here in Knox County. Now, before we get started, I'm going to give a little background on Chuck. His resume will be uploaded to KBA's website, so please check it out under this video link. But I've cut a lot out for time purposes. But that being said, Judge Cerny graduated law school at UT in 1986. Upon graduation, he entered private practice, doing criminal defense work, among other things. After 2 years of that, he then joined the Hamilton County's District Attorney's Office, where he prosecuted cases for about 5 years until 1993, I believe. Upon this year, Judge Cerny was recruited to move up to Knox County, Tennessee, here with the DA's office to prosecute DUIs. There was a DUI problem back then, still is, but he did a great job prosecuting them. And upon 1998 coming around, Judge Cerny then decided to run for judge in Sessions Court. He was elected by the citizens of Knox County, and I'm sure we're all thankful for his service as judge for the past 24 years. And he has decided to once again run for re-election. So it's my privilege to here to talk to Judge Cerny today. Judge, thanks for joining us.
Casey, it's a pleasure to talk with you.
Thank you, Judge. So I'm just going to ask you a few questions, and feel free to answer as honestly as you want to, okay?
Thank you.
All right. First things first. What do you think makes you qualified to continue to serve as a judge here in Knox County?
AZ, as you know, any judge should be a student of the law, and I feel like I do a good job of informing myself what the law should be. And sometimes I'm a little better at it when I'm kind of called upon with a sort of time delay or in regard to a particular case. Candidly, I don't necessarily sit around reading the law in my personal time, but you expect that of a judge. But in my own circumstance as a Sessions Court judge, there's some things that are sort of special. A Sessions Court judge is called upon to have a kind of willingness to tolerate incredible volume of cases. We have, whether it's on civil side or criminal side, we have a huge number of cases on each docket. The lawyers are called upon to be in the midst of the courtroom while court's going on, but still having conversations with each other and with their clients. And you have to have a kind of a willingness to tolerate a little bit of chaos without being stuffy, self-important, or making that difficult for the people who are involved, including witnesses, victims, citizens accused, etc. But also, I think that it's important to have had experience on both sides. I've had 10 years of prosecution experience, and of course, quite a bit of time in the defense areas. Also, civil practice. I've had a good bit of experience with practicing in a general practice law firm. So I think I've got what it takes to be a good Sessions judge. And of course, I've been at it for 24 years. So,
yes, and that kind of foreshadows into my next question. What do you think your greatest strengths and weaknesses are as a judge?
Well, each and every person who comes before the court is a person with a dignity that's associated with simply being a human being. Even people who have made unfortunate mistakes or had behaviors that are influenced by addiction, every court, including Sessions Court, is called upon to deal with very, very serious cases and very heinous facts on occasion. But Sessions Court's kind of special because those cases are really a small percentage of the cases we deal with. I have tens of thousands of driving on revoked cases, just by way of example. And the great majority of those cases are folks who simply failed to pay a speeding ticket or something, and they didn't know their license got revoked. So helping them get their license back is just one example of how compassion for someone who's involved in the criminal justice system can be helpful. And I have that. And I also am very much aware that many of the behaviors we see resulting in criminal offenses are motivated by addiction. And I think if you can help a person become a better human being if you can help a person overcome addiction or mental health issues, I think that they can avoid further criminal justice system involvement. Now, you asked about weaknesses, and I'm going to be candid with you. Sometimes a person's greatest strength is their greatest weakness. I admit to you that I do my best to take a lot of time with each individual citizen accused. I also take a lot of time with folks in the civil area. We have civil jurisdiction as well in sessions court, and I try to be compassionate to the folks who are getting sued because they can't pay a credit card debt, or they have to find another place to live because they've reached their landlord-tenant agreement, that kind of thing. And you know, those people may be down on their luck and may have made some bad decisions, perhaps, but they're still human beings, and I try to treat people with dignity and respect, regardless of their situation.
Thank you, Judge. Next question. What do you think are some methods to improve court efficiency, as in new procedures or whatever you think?
Well, let me take a minute to suggest to you that the Sessions Court judges in Knox County have already done some really good things. For example, it's pretty much expected under normal circumstances that a judge would have a courtroom where he or she is assigned to be, and then you would plan on being in that judge's courtroom if the case is assigned there, that sort of thing. But we have divided up our docket. There are 5 divisions of Sessions Court, and we've divided up our docket 5 different ways. And the judges, to try and help the people who practice in those individual different courts with those separate, distinct types of cases divided by categories, we rotate on purpose each week to try and help folks. If a prosecutor or lawyer is focusing on, for example, DUI cases or felony cases, those types of cases are separated into separate dockets in separate courtrooms. And so as a result, we try to rotate to maintain a sort of balance in our responsibilities, and also make it convenient and easy to practice for those lawyers who have to focus on those areas. Civil court is, for example, another way we divide out our docket. Now, we also, I've tried to make it a point, and I think the other judges are doing this as well. I try to set civil cases that we know are contested and will take a couple or 3 hours or more in the afternoon after the criminal court documents. And in addition to that, I'm also handling drug court and veterans treatment court on Wednesday afternoon so that it doesn't interfere with the other regular dockets. And so that division, I think, has helped us be more efficient. In the future, because you asked the question this way, you know, additional improvements that I see forthcoming in the future, where I think we're all like-minded that the earlier starting time of 8:30, I think that has helped us, and it's helped the lawyers be able to get to criminal court at 9 o'clock, and it's helped us with our efficiency because we get brief matters handled early in the docket, and we're able to, you know, go on with the hearings when they come up, when lawyers are able to juggle their responsibilities and get back and forth from civil, sessions court, and criminal court. So I think those things are very helpful to efficiency, and we've done a good job with that.
Wonderful. And for those not watching, because of the COVID pandemic, adjustments were made in order to set the dockets 8:30 to 9 o'clock in all courts.
Absolutely. We've endeavored to help keep folks who have to participate in the system safe. We've added some glass barriers to try and avoid transmission of disease, but also we've you know, we didn't shut court down, even when the pandemic seemed like it was the most dangerous. And it was, we tried to keep court running because we're in session to try and help folks resolve their problems and differences and get their cases resolved.
And Judge, you may have already touched on this. Do you see any additional improvements you may want to make in the future for judges in sessions court here in Knox County?
Absolutely. We have to help the lawyers with respect to making their time in Sessions Court more efficient. So I've already made some changes in just this week in felony Sessions Court to try and help lawyers not have to stand in line, for example, to retrieve a warrant from the judge. We're going to let that happen in another circumstance. I'm letting my court officer help with that. That's a little bit of an experiment. I think it's working out great. We tried it for 2 days so far this week, but also I think that we have to continue our passionate pursuit of problem-solving courts. And what I mean by that is we've had a recovery court in Knox County, Tennessee. And there was a time when there was some challenges for recovery court. That was some years ago. I took over after that about 12 years ago, 11, 12 years ago, I think. And recovery court is flourishing. And we've had multiple graduates from recovery court, and those folks are obviously criminal justice system involved. And when they get through the recovery court program, which is very difficult, they end up not coming back through the criminal justice system. And with the success of recovery court, we were able to add Veterans Treatment Court, which I also preside over. And that's specifically designed for criminal justice system involved veterans. And we've been able to help veterans with their recovery, with mental health issues, with criminal justice system involvement, of course, and it's been very successful to the point where I've been called upon to be on an exploratory committee for the purpose of founding and creating a mental health court. So I'm really proud that other stakeholders in this community have called upon myself to be involved with the development of a mental health court as well.
And I can say from my firm's experience with drug court or vets court, we're very thankful that's in place. It's in a mental health court would be amazing if that could also get off the ground and running. Judge, moving along, what do you think is the biggest challenge in the future for these courts, for the Sessions Court here in Knox County?
Well, there's one thing in the short term that I see as a significant challenge. We have, and we're in the midst of a pretty favorable response to this challenge. We have to reassess how we deal with pretrial release status for folks and how we set bonds. We've got a pretrial services division that has been very successful. The 5 sessions judges, myself included, we've been working very hard to get that up and running to try and, our initial idea was to try and alleviate jail overcrowding when those persons who are incarcerated simply can't make their bond, but they haven't been convicted yet. It's not right for somebody to be in jail if they haven't been convicted. And so we've worked very hard to get the pretrial services folks online and get people referred to them. And that as a result, I think that's making, helping us make changes in the way bonds are set. When a money bond has to be set, I think we're doing a better job of being fair about how we do that. You don't want folks incarcerated because they can't make a bond because they're poor. It's just not fair. And so we've done a good job of reassessing what we're doing in that way.
Thank you, Judge. Who would you say, and this is a very broad question, but who would you say is one or more of your judicial role models?
We've got great judges in Knox County. Including retired judges, McGee and Emery, who are good friends of mine, and I admire them. I'm going to be honest with you. When I was in law school and some of the law students said that they had a particular judge as a hero, a Supreme Court justice, something like that, I used to think, you know, you're just trying to ingratiate yourself to the con law professor. But I recently read a book in recent years, and this book was written by a good friend of mine that I had DUI cases with in Hamilton County, Tennessee. His name is Leroy Phillips, and he wrote the book Contempt of Court. And I'll tell all the lawyers, you should read this book. In fact, all citizens of this great land of ours should read this book. It changed, it had a profound impact on me. And as a result of reading the book, I saw John Marshall Harlan, who was a Supreme Court justice in 1906, take on an issue that required him to be tremendously courageous and do the right thing in the midst of a time when doing the right thing would have been very, very unpopular. And he did the right thing and stayed in execution of an African-American gentleman who had been unjustly accused. And in fact, there was a sham trial, and he was convicted of an offense that he did not commit. And John Marshall Harlan stayed the execution of Mr. Johnson. I believe his name was Robert Johnson. His grave is still in Hamilton County, Tennessee. I think I've had the opportunity to be there. And then that resulted in a situation where eventually Robert Johnson was lynched, and the sheriff of Hamilton County should have protected him from a lynch mob and did not do that because his execution had been stayed by Justice Harlan. And Oliver Wendell Holmes wrote the opinion in one of the only cases where the Supreme Court of the United States has used their contempt power to enforce their order. Oliver Wendell Holmes wrote that opinion. Also a time for courage to do the right thing, even when it was unpopular. And that's why they have become kind of my judicial heroes, or I'm sort of a fan of Holmes and Harlan.
Excellent, Judge, excellent. Well, we're wrapping up here. I'm going to give you about a minute for a closing statement. Before we do that, I just want to thank you for your service to the citizens of Knox County. Everybody's appreciative of your work, Judge. So the floor is yours. Minute-ish. I'll try to keep an eye on you, okay?
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
I have tried throughout the course of my judicial career, and it's, as a matter of fact, throughout my career as a lawyer, to try and be the same guy on Monday morning as I am on Sunday morning. You know, we all go to our places of worship, and if you're like me, you are reminded often that whatever you do to one of these, you've done to me. And I think it's very important to try and be the same person on Monday, not just spout pretty stuff on Sunday morning. I think it's also to try and be the same guy in the hallway as you are on the bench. And the reason for that is lawyers shouldn't have some sort of stress or fear that I'm somehow going to be a different person than the easygoing, easy to work with person that they have a relationship with and know from our interpersonal context. And I think that it's important from my perspective to be the same guy with the same moral compass. When the decisions are easy, when the sides are easy to figure out who's got the moral high ground or who's in the right. But sometimes you have to do the right thing when it takes courage. And sometimes the decisions aren't popular. And I know that each day I go into court, I could be making some people angry. That's not my goal, but we're going to do everything we have to do. And I'm going to do everything I have to do to make the right choice in each individual circumstance and do the right thing, whether it's popular or not.
Judge, I really do appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, JC. It's been a pleasure.